Welcome to the How I Started Career Stories podcast, where we will interview CEOs, entrepreneurs, and company leaders to hear how they got to where they are on their career journey. We'll talk about the early days, the setbacks, the risks they took, and ultimately how they're using their learnings now and into the future. I'm Andrew Capel, your host. Let's get started with this week's episode. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of How I Started podcast. Excited to be talking to Jared Gibson here. We just had a nice conversation before we were recording, so I wish we had started the recording a little bit earlier, but I don't want to steal any of the thunder. So Jared, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll get going.
Awesome. Thanks for having me here. And there was some good stuff that we definitely covered. I guess we could try to fake talk about it, but maybe it'll come up again naturally in conversation.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for having me. My name's Jared Gibson. I am a co-founder of a company called Outworks. We are headquartered here in Chicago. I've got two other co-founders, and we are a marketing agency that focuses on founder executive-led content strategies on LinkedIn. So we help our founders and our CEOs and our executives create consistent high-level content on LinkedIn to build their personal brand, consistently stay top of mind and build trust. And that trust ultimately transfers back over to the company. So that's what we do. We make it easy on our clients, and it's something that they know that they should be doing, having more of a presence on LinkedIn. But for whatever reason, time, resources, expertise, they haven't. So we help them.
Absolutely. So there's two different ways we can two different paths for how I started we can go down. One is how you got started with Outworks, and then maybe zooming out or looking at the bigger picture is your career journey. So Jared, I'll let you choose your own adventure and we'll go from there.
Ooh, let's go career journey, because career journey dovetails into how I became an entrepreneur.
Nice.
So originally from Ohio, in college, I had no clue what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I kind of I guess I figured it out now. Yeah. But didn't know what I wanted to be, right? Graduated with a degree in sociology for whatever reason. I think it's just I had credits, and I'm like, yeah, let's just do that. Started in sales and worked for a company for 10 years out of college in Northeast Ohio in Cleveland, and really grew and fell in love with sales. Just the chase, the close, everything that comes with it. I've always been very personable. Like I get along with just about everybody, can carry conversations. So started with that company, did it for 10 years, was inside sales, pounding 100 dials a day, ended up getting promoted to outside sales pretty quickly, moved around a few times to open up offices for my companies. And that's what ultimately brought me to Chicago in 2010. Just got burnout from driving.
Yeah.
Was driving all over Kingdom Come. So it was dating myself. It was before really
Podcast,
Zoom kind of took up, like all this like virtual shit. Yeah. So it was, I was driving all over the place, and I just got burnt out from doing it. So jumped into another role as an executive or as a sales executive at a publication here in Chicago called Cranes. Did that for a few years, kind of hit my ceiling there. And then got into software sales, and eventually got sniped away by my future co-founder, who I work with now. Brandon had me become his VP of sales at his mobile application development company. And this is where we're going to start to kind of talk about my entrepreneurial journey.
Yep.
Did that for a little bit. We had a private equity group above us that kind of, the CEO of the group said one day to me, like, hey, we want your company to work on a separate project, and we want you to jump over from the VP of sales to be the VP of growth and marketing for our PEO, the HR arm of our private equity group.
Okay.
So a new challenge for me. I'd worked with marketing, but I'd never been in marketing before.
Yeah.
I'd always just been a salesperson. So I said to them, I am on board with doing this. I love this idea because your website sucks. You have no digital presence. You have a great sales team, zero air support. So I want to come in with the sales hat on and build out this marketing engine for you guys. But you have to let me keep a toe dipped in the sales pond. Yeah. Meaning I love networking. I love being out and about in front of people. And they said, absolutely. We're actually members of this group called EO here in Chicago. Yeah. And EO is, for those that aren't familiar, is Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a group of entrepreneurs. To qualify, I think you have to be $1 million in revenue or north as a founder. And each chapter has different forums. So there's usually like 8 to 10 people in a forum. And it's very close-knit culture. Like entrepreneurs, we're on, as you know, we're on an island by ourselves in many instances. And we don't have people on our team that we can talk to. So this is a very close-knit group. So we became a sponsor of EO. And I started going to all their events and just became friends with a lot of the members. And it really rubbed off on me, like kind of that entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, shit, I can do this. Like, this is something I should be doing. You start
spending time with the CEOs, even with the board members, and you're like, wait, they put on their shoes and they put on the pants just like us and all that.
100%. And so what ended up happening, I loved this company that I work for, this HR company. We had a great leadership team, very purpose driven. Well, we got acquired, and we got acquired by a large organization that was not purpose driven. They're very EBITDA focused. Yeah. And we were like the 40th acquisition. And what ended up happening, we were very forward thinking. Our clients loved us. Our clients loved like how we were from a technology and a processes standpoint, very advanced. Well, this company that acquired us ran the same playbook they run on every single other acquired company. Many of them
taste like chicken. Yeah. Just kind of going through the same thing.
Yeah. And they brought us back probably 5-10 years. Wow. And our clients started getting pissed, and it was just a dumpster fire of an acquisition. But so my thought was I could either sit and bitch about it and just completely, or I could do what I've always wanted to do. So I started this company and I went back to Brandon, who was the founder at that company, Snap Mobile. I was VP of sales for, and Kelly, another person on his team. And we started Outworks kind of overnight. I moonlit as an entrepreneur, had my day job, separated them, had 2 separate calendars. And I like had a passion for this. Like I loved doing it and Outworks. And when we started, we were very different than what we are today. Yeah. Obviously. And this was only 2 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago. But the thing that sucked is, and anybody that's ever started a company while working for another company can probably attest to this, is that I had 2 separate calendars. My heart was 100% into one, and I could give 2 shits about the other. Yeah. Right. So what would happen is I'd have these 2 calendars during the day, and I would book prospecting calls for Outworks, and I would like not put it on my other calendar because I didn't want people to see it. Yeah. My HR company team knew that I was doing it. And they were like, yes, do this. Like exactly. It was awesome. But the other company that acquired us, no. So they would book randomly, like 10 minutes before. They would throw time on my calendar. I'd be like, oh, I have a prospect call. Yeah. So that started to become very, very stressful. And like my wife was like, you just need to stop. Like, I'm like, do you realize what happens when I just stop? Yeah. Like that means that I got 0 money coming in. And like we had signed up a few clients. So there's a little bit, but not enough. Yeah. Like, you know, yeah. So, and then somebody posted one day on LinkedIn, and I literally have the sign hanging up. I printed it out. It said, there's never a perfect time to start anyway. Yeah. And I was like, fuck it. That's it. That's what I need to do. So I did. And, you know, a few weeks later, I was all in on LinkedIn. I finally was able to make it LinkedIn official. And that was when I said, now I've got to actually start creating consistent content. Yeah. Because I can't be the cobbler's kid that's not doing what I'm preaching.
The cobbler's kid without the shoes. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that one sometimes.
So that's my long kind of entrepreneurial, how I started journey. But there's a lot of learnings that were in throughout that process that we didn't talk about.
Yeah. But, and how about at Outworks, kind of the journey or the evolution? You mentioned that it's been going for a couple of years, and I'm sure it feels like it's been going for about 10 years, but some of the iterations or some of the learnings, and it seems like you have a dialed in process now. So then we'll get to present day. Yeah.
So we started as, it's funny now looking back on it, like I cringe. We started as an email lead gen company. Okay. Right off the bat. And I'm like, and I'm running on the predictable revenue model, where if anybody knows that, that's the book that it has to do with like how Salesforce was built, and it's the sequences and emails that go out, and that like there's 10 or 14 messages and all this stuff. So we started on that for clients, and we kind of quickly realized like this sucks. Like writing email copy for other people sucks. And it is a lot more crowded. Like I've run sales teams, I've built teams in the past, and like executed on a lot of this and saw success with it. But one thing we didn't take into account was that anybody with $30 in a computer can now do this. Like, it's not some super, super secret thing, but we were like starting up a bunch of email domains. So just the whole process sucked and we didn't like it. So we're like, we've always known something was up with LinkedIn. Like, we can do something with LinkedIn because people use it in the wrong way. They like the way that people are using LinkedIn sucks. And like, we can help people and companies be the signal and the noise on LinkedIn. So started on LinkedIn a little bit and more doing the messaging, but messaging not as like a bunch of cold outbound, more or less like we want it to be like, here's a list of 1,000 people. Here's a list of 32 like CFOs for small manufacturing companies in Elkhart, Indiana. And you, the CEO or the founder of this company, want to host an intimate dinner at this specific restaurant, and you want to cap it at 12 and invite these manufacturing leaders. And let's say we would just want to talk about certain things at this dinner. The message then is, hey, I'm running a dinner in Elkhart with this restaurant with a bunch of other CFOs from manufacturing companies, probably some you're familiar with, talking about some of this stuff. It's a super intimate dinner, so we're capping it at 12. Let me know if there's any interest and I can send you over information, right? Those messages cut through the noise, not the, I'm going to pitch this, what we do in a LinkedIn message, the pitch slap. The problem is that we started working with a lot of people. That's what they wanted. And It was like, this sucks. This also sucks.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we did get is that the ones that did it right, we would tell them like, listen, we're growing your network. We're getting you meetings. You're creating no content. You're inviting these people into your house and it's empty. You're giving them nowhere to sit. There's nothing going on. Like, and they would just be like, I don't know what to say. I don't have time for this. Can you just do this for us?
Right.
And we said no, we said no, we said no. And then one time we said yes. So we did it. And it was like, this is awesome. And then we said yes to another person and then another person. And then we started to realize like there could be something here because the share of voice opportunity on LinkedIn right now is insane. Like, not a lot of people are consistently posting content, and it's a great way to create demand, plant seeds, and just drip over time. It's the same thing as an email drip campaign.
Yeah.
The only difference is that it's invisible and it's invisible marketing. You're just creating consistent good content. So we made the shift about a year ago and haven't looked back. And the benefit that I have is I have two founders that are very process driven. We all have different specialties. I'm sales and marketing. Everybody's marketing, but one's product design, his background is in design, and the other one is an engineer developer. So we all come at it from different reasons. So our processes have been honed in. There's always room to really learn and continue to do better. But behind the scenes, the stuff that we do behind the scenes is just, our clients have told us it's like next level in terms of like how quick you can get stuff back and how just organized the process is.
Yeah, Jared, we need to put, I don't know if you have a public facing deck, but the Figma graphics and slide decks that you put together are really impressive. And like, as you know, in your developing content and points of view and storytelling. And so to have those impressive graphics, it caught my eye. And, a lot of the work and content that you and the team are putting out. So, kudos there. And talk about how you work with clients, if there's a couple of different iterations, or like, maybe you're finding the people that are already doing stuff, but not, getting tired of it or on the treadmill and they're looking for a helping hand, or if you start with folks that want to get involved but have never done it before. Like, I'm curious on the engagement model.
Yeah, it's across the board. I mean, if you think back to that deck, and I'm going to paint a picture, there's a Super Mario Brothers slide in that deck. And the Super Mario Brothers slide is basically, if you think of the Super Mario Brothers world, like the first, if you've ever played the game, it's got Super Mario on this side, and then it's got his like running through everything over here. So it's almost like a timeline. And one thing that we tell all of our clients before we start, like, everybody comes to this in a different spot in their content journey, in their LinkedIn journey, right? And if you're coming to us with 500 connections and haven't posted in 2 years, like, you got a long way to go. Like, we'll get you to where you need to be, but don't expect to come in and immediately see massive results from this. Like, you have to earn the trust of your network. Like, that's so important. And as much as this sucks to say, you have to earn the trust of the algorithm. The LinkedIn does not recognize, is not going to recognize you after 5 posts or 6 posts. Like you got to show them that you're consistent, right? And building trust with the algorithm and building trust with your network is how you get to, again, the status of a lot of people that you're probably thriving to get, or that you want to be. On the other hand, we've got people that come to us that have 30,000 followers and are already creating content, but they're just burnt out from creating content and they've just hit a wall. And they're like, hey, I just need some more direction on the type of content. And I want to also create better content. Like I want to up my video game. I want to update my design game. Like I've been creating consistent content, but it's just been like text-based posts. And every once in a while I'll throw a graphic in there. Like I need to put myself out on video because I know LinkedIn is prioritizing video. And I need you to help me be consistent so I can free up time to do everything else I need to do to run the business. So everybody's got different spots, but at the end of the day, you have to earn the trust of the people. Like nobody is, what's the word I'm looking for?
There's no easy button or like,
there's no easy button.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a journey. There's no easy button. And if you're not in this, if you're mindset wise, like for like at least 6 months, I would say a year to commit to it, then it's probably not a good thing. If somebody says, hey, we want to try this out for 2 months, it's like, all right, probably not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, there's phases of, and you have to put in the inputs to get the outputs. I'm sure you get some early wins or some momentum and some things to look out for, to like signals to keep going in terms of what's resonating versus what's not.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. There's signals like, and it's funny, we have a chart in that deck that you talked about that, actually, I don't know if it's in that deck. We have a chart that we show. It's like a graph and it's like a U-shaped graph. Like one side, when you start posting content, you're going to get a bunch of likes and a bunch of engagement because it's your family and friends that haven't seen you post. And then it's going to start to drip as you're consistent and it's going to start to go down. And then once you get down to the bottom, that's where most people quit posting. They're like, this isn't working. Like, I just can't deal with it. Like nobody likes my stuff. There's something wrong with me. Like whatever, all these false narratives.
Yeah.
And that's where most people quit. If you power through that, there's an upswing on the other side where that is where you start to hear when you're out and about, like, hey, I've been following your content. Like, it's been awesome. Like, good job. You start to hear that enough that you're like, okay, well, this person's never liked or commented on any of my shit, but they're seeing it. Right. So you start to hear that. You start to get people reaching back out to you that you may have talked to 8 months ago that weren't ready to buy. Yeah. And then they're like, hey, I've been following your content. It's been really good. We moved some budget around and I think we can re-engage and have this conversation. So it's massive top of the funnel, Phil. Like this is top of funnel material that we're doing for the most part. It's creating awareness. It's dripping. It's staying top of mind. And it works. It's just being consistent with it. Yeah. That's the biggest challenge is people just have trouble being consistent.
Yeah. It's the creative journey and just about doing the inputs. And if you're a writer, writing most days when you're in the mood or not. And so to have a coach or a partner or, folks to help with, I'm hoping to work with Outworks. I'll be honest. Cause it is a lot. I put out some stuff on LinkedIn, but, sometimes you just like, you have a lot going on. So I like that. And, I was just at a conference last week and if you're sponsoring a conference, it's probably $50K at a minimum by the time you rent the booth and the travel and bringing the team out there and the entertainment and all the swag. So if you reframe that into an investment in your consistent postings on social and LinkedIn, it really seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't cost that much.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you break it out over time, and the other thing is when you're sponsoring, oftentimes the attendees and the VIPs, they kind of avoid the exhibit hall, whether they should or not. They do. They're going to the networking event. So it's like you need to reach people kind of on their terms, as opposed to blending in with everyone else.
Yeah, and if you play the LinkedIn game right, the game of creating consistent content, engaging with other people's content, that's the one thing I know about a lot of people is that like. The share of voice opportunity, again, is big, but people are creating content. Like if you're engaging with other people's content and making a name for yourself, building your personal brand, showcasing your personality, like it is a massive, it helps when you do finally meet somebody in person, their guard is down because they feel like they already know you, right? They're not expecting you to go up to them and pitch them what your process is. It's like, hey, I've been following your content. It's great. Conversation starter, right? So just doing that and then going to the conferences and showing up. Like if you've already built a name for yourself and a brand for yourself, like people are going to be not as guarded to have a conversation with you. But I agree with you on the exhibit halls, dude. We used to do that. Yeah. It's like, why is nobody coming over here? And somebody's like, because they don't want you to sell to them. It's like, shit.
Yeah. It's so it's a huge opportunity. And Jared, I'm curious. So you have a good process now, but what are you excited about for as we head toward the second half of 2025?
Ooh, what am I excited about? One thing that we've started to notice is, and the mindset of this was there before, but it was, we're in 2025 right now, right? And I think a stat that we talk about is the average buyer is between 35 and 37 years old, right? Is the average buyer. And there's another stat that says that 77% of people are more likely to buy if the CEO of the business they're buying from is active on LinkedIn. I think that was from like Inc. magazine or something, right? So if you think about like who is on LinkedIn today, like the biggest percentage of people on LinkedIn are between 24 or 25 and 31. The group right behind them is 18 to 24. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because this is the social media generation, right? These are it's not, the Gen Xers that, are like, social media sucks, whatever. The decision makers of today and tomorrow are going to be on LinkedIn, whether you like it or not. You have to meet these people where they are. So one thing that I'm excited about is we've started to work with companies, some of our clients, like where we'll go in and start working with the CEO, and the CEO's full thing is like, I want to create a culture of content creators at my company. Yeah. Like that is going to separate us from our competitors. And if they're doing it, then we're going to get passed by them. But if we're doing it and they're not, we can pass them. It's a leg up on the competition.
We're starting to see more of our clients say like, I want to create a company culture, like work with A, B, C, and D on my team and do the same thing for them that you're doing for me.
Oh, cool. So you're expanding, you're landing at the top and then you're expanding across the ranks.
Yep. Yeah. So it's fun. So we're looking forward to that. And one thing I'm focused on is just getting more speaking engagements, honestly. Like I love getting up and talking about building personal brand. Yeah. Like it's fun to me because it comes down to people just are intimidated by putting themselves out there. They think it's self-serving, social media is icky, but they need to get out of their own way. So I like getting up and helping people get out of their own way to start creating content for themselves.
That's cool. I was just at the EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System Conference, and Jared, maybe we'll see you on stage there next year. It was a really good conference.
I'd love to. I have friends that have spoken at those conferences, and yeah,
awesome.
And we're EOS linked now, so I love EOS.
We'll close it out here. I do need to give a shout out to Matt Bolian, who's the CEO and founder of Supered. Jared, I don't know if you are familiar with Supered, but they coined something called surround bound. And so they require every employee to be posting on, putting together content, kind of sharing their workflows and doing stuff on YouTube and LinkedIn. And so check out Supered. They built an app for HubSpot partners, and they're doing some cool stuff there. And I like the idea of kind of developing that culture of, sharing and learning and putting stuff out there. It just makes your company more approachable, and it's a really good marketing technique.
Yeah, I think that companies are going to start to make it mandatory for people to create, or at least build it into their commission structure for sure.
Cool. All right. So Jared, if folks are interested in learning more, is it shoot them over to your LinkedIn or where do we point them?
Yeah, either LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn, or send me an email. My email is Jared, Jared, at Outworks.io. So either way, but there's a link to my calendar on my LinkedIn, so anybody can reach out and throw some time on.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for listening.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and also share it out on LinkedIn or with friends, colleagues, or classmates who might like the show as well. You can also get the newsletter at leaderlev.com/podcast. You can find that also in the show notes.